Hello and welcome. I am so excited today that I get to talk to Cindy Holbrook, who I've been lucky enough to know for quite a while now. Now, if you don't know Cindy, she's known as the Visibility Wiz. She's uniquely gifted at guiding entrepreneurs to thrive as they move up the ladder from being the best kept secret to trusted expert. She's a best-selling author, a speaker, a business coach, and she's been featured on Huffington Post Live, Women's Speakers Association TV, eHarmony, Prevention Magazine, Everyday Woman TV, and of course, a guest on numerous summits and interviews like today. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you, Sherry. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you because you and I are certainly of a like mind when it comes to all things growing your business. Now, I know today you want to help us get clear on the distinctions between some of the major activities or things that we do in our business. So tell me, how do you define the difference between visibility, lead generation, and money-making activities?
What a lot of people do, there's a very close interaction between the three. So a lot of people will do a whole bunch of visibility and or lead generating activities, thinking, and they can stay busy with this, 80 hours a week, thinking they're working in their business, but they never really take the time to sort of go over to the money-making activity. There's a lot of activities that really fall into all three. But the big difference is the call to action. So if you're making a video and you don't make any call to actions, you don't ask them to go to your website, you don't ask them to sign up to your list, you just don't do nothing. You're just giving them pure information, which you and I know a lot of people do because they want to get visible and they want to be known and liked. Well, that's just a visibility strategy that is never going to get, a lot of people think, well, if I'm just out there and I'm visible, I'm going to have all the clients I want. But you can't just be visible. I've known people who had like 1 million followers and still was not making any money because they were not doing the money-making activities.
You have to ask, right?
Exactly. And so with the second part, if you're making a video and then you say, hey, go download my the top 7 money-making activities, then that now becomes a lead generating activity. So a lot of people stop as soon as the person gets on their list. They don't do anything else. Some people may have a nurture sequence, some people may not, but they're not inviting people to work with them. They're not inviting people in, which is the money-making activity.
Right.
So even if you just have the lead gen, you can utilize your nurture sequence just by adding a PS at the bottom of each email. This says, hey, if you're looking for a mentor to hold your hand through the process, give me a call. Just a very simple statement like that. Now you're turning that email into a money-making activity. And it's not hard. Awesome. A lot of people's like, but I shouldn't ask them to buy anything until I've had 10 touch points or 21 touch points. The touch points are always right. Changing. And for the audience, if you've never heard that term, a touch point is simply an interaction between you and a potential client. That's all it is, an interaction. And you need to continuously let them know what you have. Otherwise, people just see you as this loving, giving person that's giving away all this great information, but they really don't know what you have. Now, I know 2 brand coaches, and there's one that I just love this woman. I adore her personality. We just mesh together. The other one I really like and respect, but I don't have that same connection with him. However, when I decided I wanted to rebrand myself, I went to the one that I least liked, simply because he asked and she never did.
Interesting.
And this is what happens so often. Whenever you're doing all this stuff, if somebody's ready, even if they know that you're a health coach or a diabetes coach or a relationship coach or a business coach, if you never ask them when they are ready, guess what? They're going to go to somebody else that's asking. So
and you have to keep giving them opportunities too, right? It's not just one ask and then you forget.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I said whenever I help my clients with nurture sequences, I have like a 6 or 7 nurture sequence email follow-up after you opt into a gift. And so you want to first of all just give them the gift. And typically in the first email, I may still put the PS, you can or you can't. It depends upon how you feel. The second email is simply saying, hey, did you get the gift? It only takes, excuse me, it only takes about 10 minutes to read it, and you're going to get ABC. And then at the bottom, you have that PS. Hey, if you're ready to jump in and whatever problem you help them solve, if you want to jump in to solve your problem, give me a call. Then you continue. Then the third email, you tell them your journey that relates to them. Remember, everything's all about them. A lot of people, whenever they're sharing their story, they say, I. I read somebody's bio once, their about page, and they said I something like 200 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I said, if you look at my about page, I say I about 50 times, and I say you about 150 times. So that's drawing the people in you because you're talking to them.
Yeah, what's in it for them?
And it's the same with your introduction to them. And then the fourth email, and maybe even the fifth, you send them case studies, some of people that you've helped. Or if you can also send them other people's stuff because that instills trust. If I send something Sherri wrote, you're like, hey, Cindy really cares about me. She's just not trying to give me all of her information. She's willing to give me other people's stuff.
Yeah. I like to do myth busters in my welcome series too, and really get people thinking about, the things that might be surprising. And sometimes that can kind of break through. So there's so many ways you can get people excited.
Right. Exactly. And so this is all we're going to in the lead generating to making it the money making activity. But then there's people who they make videos and a webinar is any type of any window webinar. But even if you have a short email and a short video and you say, hey, if you're ready to build your business to 6 figures, let's hop on a call together. Now I've just made that video itself a money generating activity. So it's as easy as the ask, but it's interesting that 98% of the people never do that.
Right.
Now,
right.
You don't want to be asking constantly, not constantly. I send out about 4 or 5 emails a week, and I do not ask at each and every email. However, you should be asking at least once a week as you're continuing with your email. I know some people who do it each and every time. I'm not saying you can't. I typically sell other people's stuff or give away stuff. I have a freebie Friday where I have 5 free tools that you can get to help your business grow. And so I'm giving value still in the emails, right. But in that email, I don't say, hey, you want to work with me, click here.
I think of it as next step selling too, because there's so many different ways you can ask. Even in that, post on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can ask them to comment. Well, that's starting to get them used to responding to the stuff you send them. So, asking from a comment or asking them to reply to an email or asking them to sign up for a free workshop, asking them to schedule a consult. It's always just asking them to take a next step, whatever that might be, not necessarily buy from me.
Exactly. And also for money-making activities. But some people get hung up in the next step, and never get to the buy too.
That's true.
Sure people.
And as you said, you have to ask in order to get people to become a client. And
exactly.
I know you talk about 5 things.
Well, just before we go there, I want to talk about speaking. Speaking is a great money-making activity.
Yes.
Now, just like with videos, if you're just speaking and you don't offer anything, it's just visibility. But a lot of times you can offer a free gift, which is a lead gen. If you can, ask for free sessions, or, sometimes you can actually speak to sell. But regardless if you're speaking virtually or live, and especially if you're like in person, give all the attendees a paper, and just sort of how they're rating you. What did you learn? What was your biggest aha moment? What do you think was missing? Check this box if you want my free gift, this top 7 money making activities. Check this box if you'd like to have a visibility strategy call with me. So now you're asking people for that strategy call, which is really one of the best ways, is the best way to get one-on-one clients.
Absolutely. I still, been at this over 2 decades, and I still get most of my clients from one-on-one calls, whether it's following a speaking engagement or networking or somebody just ending up on my list. Absolutely.
Yes.
Cool. So tell us about those 5 things that provide, that 80-20 rule, that provide the 80% of income for an entrepreneur.
Right. So the 5 key areas that result in 80% of more of your income is, number 1, leads. And note that lead generation is necessary, but it's not a money-making activity. It's a lead generating activity. The second one is conversions. For instance, I used to convert like 2 out of every 10 people that I spoke to during strategy sessions. And then I learned a different way of doing strategy sessions, and it doubled my conversion rate. So
without more time or more money, which is what I love about that strategy.
Exactly. So whatever, everything's conversion. How many people, if you speak, how many people become your clients? If you're on a webinar, how many conversions is really I think the basic number you should always be looking at, and always seeing how you can improve whatever your conversion rate is to convert your leads to clients. And the third one is simply the actual transaction. It's, hey, you're going to be my client. You send me money. So, hey, I've got the money. That's a transaction. So the actual transaction is definitely the money making. Pricing. You can always increase your prices. And also, whenever you're in pricing, one of the ways that you can do this is you can bundle 2 things together. So if you have 2 things that you typically sell for $100 each, now you can say, hey, I've got these 2 items and they're $197 or they're $147. Save money, they're $147. Save 25%. But now you've bundled it and you've actually increased your income without any additional work. All you've done is bundle 2 or more items together to sell them. This is really great. You can always have, like, you've seen emails, today's my birthday, I have a gift for you, or it's April 1st, let's, it's not an April Fool's joke,
Right.
You can get this for 75% off, or definitely the Black Friday sales. But think about bundling different little things together. Even if you've done 2 challenges, you can combine those 2 challenges, you can resell them. If you've done summits in the past, you can resell all of those recordings. So ask yourself, what do I have that I can bundle together, switch around, and make it this awesome product? And the 5th is profits. You're increasing your income whenever you increase your profits. You need to focus on your net profits, not increasing your income. That is something here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's profitability is it's one of those things that I think most entrepreneurs don't necessarily understand it. And let's face it, how many entrepreneurs really aren't doing profit and loss statements for their business?
Right.
So they don't have visibility to it. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about that. Why do you believe entrepreneurs should focus on the profit versus the top line revenue number?
I have known people that they're like, hey, I made $100,000 this year. But then whenever they start to do their taxes, they realize they only profited 20K.
Right.
So it's really easy. As coaches, we have a lot of expenses. What are your monthly expenses for, all of the software you're using, for your virtual assistants, your team members, to pay for graphics, for, there's a lot of expenses, and for your own coaching. I think that the number one way to succeed or to build a 6-figure business is to follow somebody that's already there, that knows what they're doing. You follow them. That's always the quickest path. But how do you, but know that just making 6 figures in of itself isn't going to change your life if you've increased your expenses all that much.
Right.
So
and I know some 7-figure entrepreneurs that aren't making any profit.
Right. Yeah. And it's you just always think, that all these, whenever you start looking at, especially seven-figure businesses, they have massive, massive outgoing expenses.
Mhm.
And so always, and it's really, I just have an Excel sheet. And so every month I just write down my income and my expenses, and I'm focusing on my net profits. So whenever I say I want to double my income, I don't care if I double my gross income. I care if I
Right.
double my net income,
Mhm.
because that's what's coming to me. That's what's sustaining the lifestyle that I have, that I want. So you need to ask yourself, how much do you need each month to sustain your dream lifestyle? And it's going to be different for different people. Sherri likes traveling the world, and she can run her business from anywhere. So her expenses may be a lot more than somebody who just wants a little home in the country, right? So you have to know, what is it that you want? What's your dream lifestyle? It's all about the freedom that you have to do whatever you want. I've really decided, and I know I'm a homebody. I like being at home. I wouldn't want to be traveling constantly. I love to travel, but once or twice a year is enough for me. But then I like coming back home to my home base and home sweet home.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
bucket
and
list is different for everybody.
exactly, exactly. And so therefore, you write down what your dream lifestyle is and ask yourself, how much do you need to sustain it? Now,
Yeah.
I don't have any little children, so I don't have to even think about like, hey, I need so much money to put them through college. But if you have small children, that may be something. If you're mid-age, you may think, hey, how am I going to support my parents if they wind up in a nursing home? Do they have the money, or am I going to have to fork it? Or whenever you get older, it's even yourself. How much money do you need to put aside to sustain your lifestyle whenever you're 90 or 95? So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
these are things you need to think about, and then ask yourself, what's that magic net income, your profit income that you need for that? And always allow room in your net income for savings and investments.
Absolutely. And for contingencies. So
Yes.
I love how you get us refocused on the bottom line and how much we actually keep in our banking account at the end of the day, at the end of the year, or maybe thinking about it as how much we can actually transfer each month to our personal banking accounts from our business. What's what's a tip you would give entrepreneurs if they're not doing anything in terms of tracking? What you mentioned an Excel file, what would be your best tip for getting started in tracking the bottom line?
Oh, I love Excel. That's all I've ever used. I just use Excel.
Okay.
And if you're not very savvy, maybe you can find somebody who's really good with Excel, because you can put all these codes in Excel, then you're just putting the numbers in and
Right.
all the amounts just appear. You can
Yeah.
make them go from one page to another. It's really a cool system. So even if you have somebody set it up, my son has a seven-figure business, and that's still what he uses for his tracking.
Wow.
It's just an Excel sheet. And his Excel sheet, all of the codes and stuff he has in there are so crazy to me. And I think, I think mine is simple, and I look at his and I'm like, holy crap. But he puts
Wow.
everything in there, and it he also has an accountant that uses QuickBooks, but he doesn't like QuickBooks.
Yeah.
So he wants to
Yeah.
know for his own personal self, he uses his Excel
Right.
sheet, and it's very, very intricate what he
And
has in there.
and I just think it's like find a system that works for you.
Exactly.
I mean, it used to be when we had receipts, I had what I called my 5 folder system, where I literally had 5 different colors of manila folders that whenever I'd have a receipt from something, if I went to Office Depot or whatever, I'd put it in, the office expenses
Right.
folder. And now it's don't do that so much because pretty much everything's electronic, but it's kind of the same thing. Even if you create 5 tabs on your Excel file for the different kinds of expenses, it's a whole lot easier when you get to the end of the year. Well, this has
Exactly.
been amazing, Cindy. I know you have a free gift to share to help people get a little bit more learning around these money-making activities in the bottom line. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's the 7 money-making activities. And so I specifically go through 7 different activities that can make you money when done correctly, as a money-making activity versus lead gen. And then I give you some tips on how, you have them, I suggest that you print them out and make sure that you do at least one money-making activity each and every day. When you do one money-making activity each day, you're going to start seeing both your gross and your net profits
Right.
increase.
Consistency.
Consistency,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
And a lot of these do not take much time, but I do have lists explaining different things that you can do to help you focus on those money-making activities. Because no, spending 30 minutes making a video may or may not make you money depending upon what you're doing with it after the fact. So everything you do has to go back to the end goal of making money. If you came into business because you wanted freedom, and in order to have freedom, you need to make money in our society. It's
Right.
just the way that it is. So know too that there's tons of people out there that they have money to spend, they want to spend their money, and there's people out there that need what you have, and they're never going to buy it from you if you don't offer it. Just like I said, this branding coach that I absolutely adore never asked me. And we actually had a conversation about that. And I said, you never asked.
Yep. There you go.
Period. You never
And I'm
asked.
sure that was a bit of a shock to her, but probably an important lesson. Probably an important lesson. Well, thank you very much for that, Cindy. I know it's going to be an amazing asset for everyone. Check the show notes below this video, and there'll be a link to get that free ebook from Cindy, as well as how you can contact her on social media and such. Well, before I let you go, Cindy, I have one last question for you. And that is, if you had known everything that you know today, what would you tell your new entrepreneur self?
I would tell myself, first of all, to focus on money-making activities. And second of all, I would really make my old self believe that it really truly is just as easy to make a $10,000 sale as it is a $100 sale. So don't cut your prices thinking you're going to make more money, because it takes just as much time and energy to make that $100 sale as it does a $10,000 sale. And third, it's something my first mentor told me that I believe wholeheartedly: you can only grow your business as fast as you build yourself. So focus on your self-care, focus on who it is you need to be to have the business and the lifestyle you want. Because whenever you start letting go of, I always say, the lies we were led to believe, the lies you're telling yourself about who you are and what you can accomplish, the faster you can let go of those, the faster you're going to build your business.
So true. Those are great insights. Well, thank you very much for sharing all this valuable information with us today. Make sure, if you're watching, you go and look at the show notes here so you can get the link to Cindy's fabulous free gift. And thank you again, Cindy, for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sherri. It's been my pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.